Hello and welcome to Two Crones and a Microphone. We're so excited to be with you today. I am Linda.
And I am Betty.
Sally here.
Hey, we're so excited to be with you because we're going to talk about a topic that's near and dear to all three of us, and that is labyrinths.
Yes.
Labyrinths, ancient paths alive today. There has been a tremendous resurgence in the last 25 years in interest worldwide in labyrinths. And we are going to walk you through the difference between a labyrinth and a maze. We are going to talk about books and resources, our personal experiences. It's going to be a cornucopia of fun and interesting topics. But Betty, you had a great idea. Why don't you hold up this beautiful labyrinth?
Actually goes, let's see.
There
we
you
go.
go. If you can see the white, no, those are the walls. So you'd walk in from the bottom there and you make a right, that's right. And you make a right-hand turn about halfway up. And one of the key things about labyrinths is there is no wrong turning there. Unlike a maze, a labyrinth is one continuous pathway that will ultimately lead you to the center. Even if it has twists and turns, there's no guesswork involved. There's no puzzle. Instead, it is a clear, sure path that will lead you to that center. And when you turn around, you can follow that same path in reverse to come right back out again. Now, why? Why walk a labyrinth? Labyrinths can be used symbolically. They can be used as a walking meditation, for choreography and dance, for celebration, a site of ceremony. They're for personal, psychological, spiritual transformation. There are so many wonderful things about labyrinths. The one that Betty was holding up is a replica of one of the most famous labyrinths in the world, which is the 11 circuit labyrinth, meaning there are 11 sequential pathways into center.
Let's see that again.
Yeah. And this is embedded in the floor of Chartres Cathedral in Chartres, France. It is one of the most famous in the world. And Sally and I are fortunate we had a chance to actually walk that labyrinth some time ago. So why? Well, because who doesn't want to open up to the possibility of change, to a sense of peacefulness, to a healing that might occur just by doing a little bit of intentional walking? It's really beautiful. It embodies what's known as sacred geometry. And so there are certain parts that can be contained and baked into a labyrinth. And there is no one right way to make a labyrinth, and there's no one style that is the most popular.
I have a beautiful wooden labyrinth, which I did not take off the wall because it is extremely heavy. It was a gift. I am going to post a picture of that on our Facebook page, the Two Crones and a Microphone. So if you take a look at that, and I'm going to send a copy of that over to Sally, so she might be able to incorporate that into a little bit of a blog. So there's so many different types. I have a metal one. I think that's in one of my baskets right now. There is one.
This is a 7-circuit labyrinth that I painted on a ceramic plate. So I could use it as a finger labyrinth where I can go in and just start following the path around as a path of meditation.
Yeah. And I just ordered one from Etsy, actually, which is a 9-foot labyrinth that can be put outside because we have gatherings here. We have classes here at Minerva. And this will give people the opportunity to make use of the labyrinth, which is, for me, it's a fantastic meditation tool. You know, I have a huge living room, and I could even put it in my living room. On it when we have inclement weather. So, or it could be put in Minerva, actually,
Oh,
on
there we
just on the
go.
floor there. Yeah. So there are many, many uses for the labyrinth. Again, my personal use is usually for a good meditation.
It's really a lovely way of bringing you to center because your focus is focused. And in doing that focus, then you are able to, right, bring down your blood pressure, bring down your heart rate, bring your ability, if your mind is racing because you have all these things you're worried about or thinking about, it brings it to a focal point that is just really amazing so that at the end, you walk out of that labyrinth feeling calmer and more refreshed. I mean, I think, and I have been fortunate in being able to walk the Chartres Labyrinth, but one of my other favorite labyrinths is actually outside Juneau in Alaska, where they have an outdoor labyrinth in a Catholic retreat center where when you walk that labyrinth, you look out over the ocean and you can look, you're just out over the ocean and it's endless because the ocean meets the sky. And when you look out as you're walking the labyrinth, if you're not looking down at your feet and you look up, because, right, you can do either when you're walking a labyrinth, it just goes on endlessly and it brings a whole nother dimension to walking the labyrinth, I think.
That's gorgeous. I first started walking labyrinths and getting intentionally interested in them around the year 2000. And I was living in Connecticut at the time. And I joined the Labyrinth Society, which was based in New Canaan, Connecticut. It's still alive and well today. It offers teaching tools, intentional labyrinth devices, downloads, videos, everything, and a lot of meeting spaces worldwide now. But at the time, what they did is for seasonal festivals like the equinox, the solstice, certain key celebration days like before Thanksgiving and other things like that, they would, in conjunction with a local church, they would lay out a replica, big one, like 30 feet by 30 feet of the Chartres Labyrinth, and we were able to ceremonially walk it. And then they would have a 7-circuit labyrinth, similar. That's known as a Greek labyrinth these days, the 7-circuit. And they also had a 5-circuit labyrinth, which means it's a shorter walking time, 5 circuits or pathways that you walk in order to get to center. And I just benefited from that so much because to me, sometimes it was just lovely to walk it in order to find out, like, what does my body need today? How can I listen to my intuition? This just gives me space and time to be able to intentionally walk. And I'm going to say something too. Some labyrinth groups are very intentional about the way they want you to walk a labyrinth, but I'm here to tell you, break the rules. It's fine. You can dance along the labyrinth. You can skip. You can do whatever you want. You don't even have to follow the pathway on the way back out. There is a rule that says you get to the center, don't worry about it. Just walk across, And so there are so many ways that you can both experience and use a labyrinth. You can sing. There are some in very ancient traditions with women's mysteries and the goddess Cybele, who's one of the ancient Roman goddesses, but really she's Anatolian. And she's the one with the frame drum. So you're using rhythmic drumming in order to do your work and enter the labyrinth. And did you know that some of the absolute oldest labyrinths on the planet are simple spirals? And one of the things that Oceana taught us was something called the spiral dance. And again, it was rhythmic. We would use rattles and drums and just dun, 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 like a heartbeat. And we would walk and spiral in, and then turn around and come right back out.
Well, we tried.
Yeah, we did our best. But it's so transformative. It can happen in so many different ways. It plays with metaphor, sacred geometry. It can be a spiritual pilgrimage. that was the original intention, so we hear, of embedding the Chartres Labyrinth, because at the time, folks would come from all over Europe in order to be able to walk or kneel on their knees and walk that Chartres Labyrinth in replacement to going for a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, because at the time that was a perilous journey. So there are so many different things. It's great for community building. It can be just a shared experience that can be unique and different and wonderful for each participant.
And what I like to always jump in and say is, if you have trouble walking or you can't get to a labyrinth, both Betty and Linda shared labyrinths that are small that you can do, but it's also possible to go online, and we'll post these resources in a blog, and print out a labyrinth or do a labyrinth on your computer screen, where you go onto a website that has a labyrinth and pick the one that you want to use and do it with your finger. And I searched for my little round metal labyrinth that I have, that I actually got from Betty years and years ago, where you can either use your finger or a stylus, and you just have it. It's a very small, it's a palm labyrinth. Really, you could put it in the palm of your hand and then work it. And so you don't have to be able to either travel great distances, like with the Chartres Labyrinth as a substitute for going to Jerusalem. If you can't get to a community labyrinth, or you can't get to one of the more famous labyrinths, do it that way. Print it out and do it with your finger. Some people like to literally my sister-in-law tells me that she takes a labyrinth and puts like a marker top on, a marker, just like a Sharpie or whatever, and does the labyrinth actually with the marker as a point of contact, which I think is kind of unique and interesting. I usually do it with my finger, but she does it with a marker, and that it's very meditative for people. So you might be, like I said, not able to walk well, but that shouldn't prevent you from finding this as an opportunity to focus and center and connect with all that is.
Right. And it can be used so many different ways. Another story I have to share is last summer, a friend of mine and I, at his request, ended up siting a mown grass labyrinth on his farm. And he had kind of a large space. Not everyone would have this, but we ended up calling in the 4 directions, asking Mother Earth and Father Sky to bless the space, and then marking those directions. He wanted a 5-sided or pentagon, 5-sided, equidistant shape, which we oriented along the 4 directions. But then using the mower, a riding mower, he was able to do, after we cast it first, we did a little spray paint to make sure we got the spiral kind of equidistant and about the right. So this took a couple hours to get this in place, but then he could just mow it, and it has a giant spiral to a nice big center. And just like, you were saying, Sally, it's so peaceful to be able to look out across the landscape, because this is flat Ohio farmland landscape. So you can see trees in the distance, you can see another farm, you can see the fields, a big barn, but it's so innately peaceful just to be walking this particular cycle. And here it's simply a spiral. He hit upon wanting one of the most basic and oldest styles of labyrinth. And I wanted to add a story. One of his aunts crossed last fall, and we were able to invite family members over, and we put a little altar with her picture and flowers and all kinds of things, and gave each participant a candle if they wanted it, to walk or run or do whatever in order to get to the center and just say a sentence or say whatever they wanted or say nothing. It didn't matter, but it was really meaningful to the family to have something there on the farm that was embedded in the landscape that was lovely. And there were a lot of kids there. So I was like, oh, just run, do whatever you want. There's no rules here. Just, think about your great aunt and how lovely she was. And so there are just so many ways that you can, I'll say, use a labyrinth.
Yeah, that's a lovely, lovely example of being creative with that labyrinth. That's just lovely.
So, they date back so far, and spirals date back even further, but the actual labyrinth, known as the Greek labyrinth, first showed up on coins about 4,000 years ago. So 2,000 years BCE, before current era. And it's been around for a very long time. And there's a famous story about Ariadne, whose name means bright one, who is also the daughter of King Knossos, and she is a weaver. And so Ariadne is like the spider. She weaves, right? And there was this mythic creature, which was half bull, half man, in which resided at the center of the labyrinth and was known for basically killing anyone who came in. But she fell in love with Daedalus, and she gave him a thread, and he was able to follow the thread into the center and then be able to find his way back out. And he slayed the Minotaur, is the way the most recent story goes. But it's interesting, because she is the bright one. And so really, who resides at the center of the labyrinth? It's our own heart. It is our own consciousness. It's our own ability to transform and to be able to be that more in-depth, wiser person as we walk the labyrinth.
And I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I told you I use my labyrinths as a meditative practice. I'm looking forward to getting the one outside because the weather's really good. I have the perfect spot for it. Which leads me actually to a funny story. Years and years ago, I set up a labyrinth in the back. It was a beautiful spot, wooded area, had it all mowed down. It was all ready to go. And we set up the stones and shells and some really beautiful crystals out there. And Linda came, the person who works with me, she came, and her children were young at the time. So she had to bring them with her. They canceled school for whatever reason. And all of a sudden, they're running in, Mom, look what we found. All these shells and these stones, they're just beautiful. And I was like, they deconstructed a major part of the labyrinth. I was like, oh my God. Okay. All right. So now I have one that's, able to be rolled up, and it won't be deconstructed. But
right.
And the other story I have is, when you go on retreat, look and see, or if you go to a place, we were in Vermont, Massachusetts. We were in, what's the one that's outside of Pumpkin Hollow? Omega. We were at Omega.
Yeah.
And the Army had sent, you guys know I was in the Army. So the Army had sent me for a class on super stress management, because all this PTSD, the soldiers were all coming back, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It was a really, really tough experience. I hadn't expected it to be that stressful. And it was, because actually we all had to go through our own PTSD, basically, to figure out what it was like. And my roommate, who was with me now, she wasn't sent by anybody but herself. She was a social worker, but very interested in music. So she could cut out when she wanted to, right? Outside of our room, we had one of the cabins, was the labyrinth. So I would make use of the labyrinth after class most
Sure.
times because I just needed to de-stress. There were people in that class, it was a small class, that really had some horrific stories, about PTSD, and it was very draining, right? So I go out there, I get my energy back. Now, she had been going every so often to one of the classes on music, which was not far away from where we were. One of her friends there says to her, "I'm a little worried about your roommate." And she said, "Well, why? What's wrong?" He said, "I keep seeing her walking outside your cabin in these circles, and I'm concerned about her mental health."
Oh.
It was just me walking the labyrinth. That's all that it was. But he didn't know it was there. So every day he sees me wandering around, Oh my God.
Walking in circles.
Yeah, walking in
Right.
circles.
Right.
But it worked.
Oh,
Hey,
love it.
it was a great de-stressor for me and helping me to get my energy back. It was a huge help for that. Me put
That's
myself
marvelous.
back together after all that onslaught and honestly, some of the stories were really unbelievable. So
That's funny. Those are amazing labyrinth stories. I don't have anything quite so fun or intense, but I will tell you that I love taking my shoes off to walk the labyrinth,
Yes.
wherever the labyrinth is. And
Yes.
it's very interesting because I took my shoes off at the Chartres Labyrinth, right, in
Yes.
Chartres, France.
Yes.
And that labyrinth is made out of really, really, really old stones because the floor is stone. And, they remove the chairs that generally sit over the labyrinth only a couple times a year for people to
right.
walk it. And we were fortunate enough on this trip that actually Linda put together to be there at the time when the chairs were removed and just to walk on those old stones where thousands and thousands, like literally centuries of people have walked was in itself a transformative experience and one that can really kind of blur the boundaries of time is what I'll say, because my experience blurred the boundaries of time. But even in the other labyrinths that I've walked, it's really lovely if you're not doing a finger labyrinth, right? To be able to take your shoes off and just put your feet on the earth wherever you're at.
Yes.
Whether it's on those cobblestones or whether it's on the earth of the ground that is in Alaska, and just to really make that connection itself, as we've talked about grounding and other things, going all the way back to the initial podcast, it's just an amazing experience in itself. So,
Thank
but
you
I do
for
love
sharing that.
I do love the story of he thinks I'm walking around in circles and he's really worried about me.
Uh-oh. No, this is the opposite.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Oh my goodness.
It's another great way, though, to be able to let the earth have whatever the stressors are that we're experiencing. And right now is a great example. We all have stressors in different ways. And it's part of life, but it's also part of what's happening right now in our psyches and different countries. So it's a great way to carry your stress in and drop it along the way.
Yes.
Use the center as a way to refocus, reground, reintegrate with, all the good stuff that you need, that the earth offers, that your psyche offers, that spirit, that all the elements and deities offer. And then intentionally carry that with you as you walk back out so that you come out fulfilled, refilled.
Yeah. We really didn't talk or plan a wisdom practice, but I'm going to throw out this suggestion. Like with Ariadne's thread, remember that as we wind through whatever situations are, we can be like Ariadne and carry a thread with us to the heart of things and know that there are always ways to find your way out of a situation.
Well said.
And right, to go in, allow those emotions to remain within the labyrinth.
Yes.
And we've talked about burden baskets before. So whether you imagine a burden basket or a basket, or you just leave what you need to leave within that flower center of the labyrinth or the center core, that you can follow that thread, there's always a way out. And oftentimes lately, right, in situations, we feel like there's no way out of our troubles, whether they're financial troubles or spiritual troubles or, work-related troubles, that sometimes I think we forget that there is always a way to wind your way out of something. And to know that even if you use that image of Ariadne allowing the thread to go in, dealing with the Minotaur, if you want to use it that way, and wind your way out of that to slay our dragons and come back to our center.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you, Sally.
Well said.
Very good. I did a little bit of research and made sure it was still current, and it is through Veritas, which is one of the original groups in San Francisco that intentionally placed a Chartres labyrinth in a church. They are a worldwide resource for many decades on labyrinths and their development. They have great teaching tools on there, but they also have what's called Locate a Labyrinth, and it's worldwide. And it will give you with precision, either if you want to put your state or your country or even your zip code for those of us in the US or other kind of locator, they will pull up whatever labyrinth is nearby you. And so as an experiment before we recorded, I put in Ohio, and there they came up with something like 185.
Wow.
And they let you know which ones are public, which ones are temporary, which ones need an appointment. And so it gives you just a lot of information. It pulled it up very quickly. It's very well organized. And so even if you're traveling, you might be able to use it as a resource to be able to find, like yours in Juneau, that beautiful labyrinth.
My son took me to that one.
He's a wise young man. We knew that anyway. But we'll post that as well because it's a free resource where you can locate. And in Pennsylvania, because I did a quick search there too, over 225 cited labyrinths, many of which are publicly available.
Good.
I have used that site when I wanted to take students to a labyrinth, and I used it to find out where the open labyrinths were in Oregon.
Oh, nice.
Near was. It's a great site.
Yeah. So we'll be sure to post that info as well.
Okay.
Well, this has just sped right through. There's so many other things we could say about labyrinths, but we want to encourage you. Remember, we talked about courage, the heart of the matter. Encourage you to take a chance, find a labyrinth, either online or a finger labyrinth or a walking labyrinth in your area, and give it a try and just stay curious. It doesn't have to be a big deal, and it might be truly transformative. So
please let us know what you find.
Yes.
That'd be so great. We'd love that conversation.
Yeah, because we have listeners from all over the globe, basically.
Yes,
so let us know if you were able to find one in your area. That would be awesome. And on that note, I am going to say we're helping you navigate the muddy waters of our time. Please subscribe. If you're on YouTube, press that like button and subscribe to our podcast, whichever way you listen to us or view us, and become one of the family.
Yeah. Truly, we have a big extended family across the globe. We'd love to welcome you in. And as I usually say, go find your glimmer. glimmer are those tiny moments that help recenter and re-engage us and reconnect us to the web of all that is.
I love it. And remember also, you can go on to twocronesandamicrophone.com and subscribe to the newsletter there, or check out our blogs. Yes. And it's a monthly newsletter that follows the 12 moons of the year, and would love to see you sign up. It's a free sign up. And so on that note, remember always that you are surrounded in beauty. Kadishte. All is made beautiful.
Kadishte.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, if you're enjoying Two Crones and a Microphone, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. Enjoy timeless wisdom from modern times, all served up by women in the know.